both of our E's. And when they first hatch from their eggs, halibut swim like salmon. They have eyes on both sides of their head, and they swim just like salmon, like a normal fish. But as they continue to grow, one side of their bone structure grows faster than the other, and it stretches their eye out to the right side, so they can adjust to their way of life, and they settle down to the bottom of the floor as they get older. Shifts, and so they have eyes on two sides of their head. On one side of their head. And as you can see, one side of the fish is mottled, and that's to help camouflage it against the ocean floor, and the other side is white. And these fish do have scales. They do have scales, but they are so finely put together that it just feels like skin. I mean, there's a little bit of roughness to it, but nothing like if you were to rub your hand against a salmon or a lake trout or something like that, where it's just like you can definitely feel the grit coming against from those scales. All right, so salmon have not salmon, but halibut have a almost like a, what do they call it when they have the numbers where you colored a number or whatever it is?
Mm-hmm. Paint by number.
Yeah, paint by number type thing. Where they have a line that goes from their tail all the way to the point of their head, and that's their spine. I'm not sure if you can see that. I'll pull this up so you can see it if you're looking for it.
Yeah.
But there's an actual line that comes all the way clear up to the point of their head, and that's their spine. And that's the first cut we're gonna, well, not the first cut we're gonna do, that's the second cut. First one is gonna be right here at the tail, just above the tail, but because we want to miss all of the pin bones coming from the tail itself. And we're going to go all the way through down to the bone, and then follow up using the guide that they have built in for us right along that spine all the way to the top. And the idea is you want to miss the pin bones that come through here and on this side. So the next one we're going to do is, the halibut has a gut pocket, much like most fish, but they are, I mention this most particular because they are high in parasites, and we don't want to cut into that. We want to stay away from the gut pocket as much as possible. And if you're feeling it across the top here, you'll see that there's a ridge, and you actually feel the ridge where it cuts in, and we want to make our cut just below that, so we're avoiding that gut pocket. We don't want to cut into that gut pocket at all. And our next cut is going to be a very shallow cut. It's going to go between the skin and the fin on the bottom here. And the idea is we want to just separate the skin above the bone as it comes through, because those bones go all the way through, clear to the spine, which will follow into the next cuts we're going to be doing. Where we're going to be scraping the bone, the meat directly from the bone. And I apologize in advance, I don't really care for the sound myself. It's actually a pretty
Chalkboardy sound.
not chalkboardy, but it's just not a very pleasant sound. Bone on, knife on bone. And I'm using just a regular fillet knife, and I would recommend making sure that your knife is incredibly sharp. And of course, be very careful while you're doing it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to be separating the meat itself directly from the skin.
Jimmy,
Yeah?
why do halibut live at the bottom of the ocean?
That's a good question. Why do they live at the bottom of the ocean? Anybody? Oh, she knew it.
Why?
For the halibut. I have a little darker answer for you. It's because they dropped out of school. And we wind up with a very beautiful fillet.
Yes.
All right, so the next one we're going to be doing, we'll be doing the same thing on this side. Very shallow cut between the skin and the fin. And the idea is you don't want to go too deep on this. If you go too deep on this cut, then you're going to separate the meat, and you'll see it's a very delicate meat. If you separate that meat, it just falls apart. This one was a little bit smaller. This is what we would have called a chicken, and I would say this one is maybe 30 pounds.
Are there turkey ones too?
No, we don't call turkeys. The big ones we call barn doors. Because they're massive. I mean, they're like
Hit him with a hook.
they're like 5 feet across. They're 5 to 8 feet across. They are so massive.
So what would their predator be?
Humans mainly. Yeah, humans mainly.
None other than humans.
No, not really.
An interesting thing is when they're small like this, sometimes they do come closer to shore. And I didn't see it, but one of the kayak guides here swears he saw an eagle come down and pull one of these halibut up. I'm not sure if you know, eagle are actually very adept swimmers. They swim very well. So, and they dive. They actually dive into the water.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A lot of people don't know that. Another interesting fact about eagles is they are one of the few birds that do a process called anting. I don't know if you know what that is. They will find ants either on the trees or plants, and they will take them with their beak and they will rub them on their feathers.
Why?
Why?
It's kind of like a natural pesticide for them,
Formic
and it also
acid.
helps with the water repellent.
You ever wear Kevlar gloves when you're that?
I don't myself, but I'm sure some people do. Pardon?
I would need to. I'm close.
A lot of it comes with experience as you get used to handling the knife. And it, like I said, a big part of it is making sure that the knife you have is very sharp. It should slide through it close to like butter. I mean, of course, you're going to be grinding against the bone itself, but shift this out of the way, and then we'll go ahead and remove the skin from this one as well. As they age, the meat, you'll start to see a separation in like this. And I'm not exactly sure why it does it. It's just, it does it on all the fish. I mean, all the halibut. All right, and again, just slide it between the skin and the meat. You want to keep your knife level with a slight angle downward.
So for the big ones, you need at least two people. One to hold the tail. and-
Oh yeah, I'm not sure you could fillet it a big one by yourself. And then again, you end up with a very beautiful piece of fillet.
What do you end up pound-wise now?
Pound-wise, like he was saying, halibut are similar to salmon, where you'll end up with about a 50% yield per weight after you remove the head, because you can get 4 fillets from a halibut. a salmon and other fish, you generally get 2. Halibut, because of the way their bodies are, their physiology is, then you're able to get four fillets from them.
There's not much of a bloodline compared to like warmer water fish.
No, there's not. Halibut is one of the white meat fish. And they're actually very similar to flounder. I'm not sure if you know that. Flounder and halibut are, I
makes
believe, of the
sense.
same species.
Yeah, it makes sense.
They're just different genus. And basically,
Vice
flounder
versa.
are warm water, whereas halibut are cold water. So when we get this out on the grill, we want to make sure that we don't mess with it very much. I know it's human nature that when you put a piece of meat on the grill, you want to touch it, you want to flip it, you want to mess with it as much as possible. Halibut's a little different. We want to put it on there, talk to it nicely, just encourage it to cook right, but we don't want to really touch it. Let it do its thing, and when it's ready to turn, it will separate itself from the grill. You'll see the edges start to peel away from the grill itself, because as the meat shrinks, it will slowly start to peel away. Once that happens, then you know that you want to turn it. And halibut, being the type of meat it is, the meat can have parasites, so we want to make sure the meat is properly cooked. The temperature we're going to be looking for is going to be 45 degrees. We want to make sure that it is fully cooked, and we don't want anybody getting a foodborne illness on your cruise. We want you to enjoy it. And while we're out there, we will have gloves, plates, thermometers, and of course we'll have the grill master. And I'll be out there as well to make sure that things are going smoothly and things are cooked properly, and answer any questions as well.
Is it a cast iron grill, or do you season it? What
Yes, it
kind?
is. It is seasoned, and it is iron. I believe it's
Raw iron.
Right, wrought iron.
Unfortunately, I wish they would change it on us. I have a feeling we're getting a new one soon because that thing looks like
We've used it a lot.
We have used it a lot.
So does it make a difference if you have stainless steel plates on your grill, or you have to use something?
The only thing it does is it eliminates the large gaps. Really, if you just leave the fish alone, it will not stick. You
Yeah.
spray it enough that it won't stick, but if you start touching it, it'll of course
Yep, that's when it starts to fall
it'll
apart.
start falling apart. But
And I'll highlight that by giving you a chance, if you want to take a look at this. You'll see how the meat itself,
Yeah,
it's a very delicate meat.
yeah.
It'll fall apart. The more you mess with it, the more it'll fall apart.
But the weird part about halibut though is, as delicate as it is, it's like a steak too. It can be charred on the outside, but the inside's raw. So you gotta really pay attention. That's why we use thermometers out there, is because it's very, like, you'll touch it and you'll be like, oh, that's firm. And then you open it up and the middle is completely raw and cold. Like, cause it's like it's flaky because it's striated, but then it's also dense. The meat is very dense. Unlike salmon, which is, it's gonna cook way quicker than this halibut. You'll see when we get out there. I'll tell you to flip that salmon pretty much right after you throw it up.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. But when you put the salmon on, you can cook it however you like. My personal recommendation is, because of the type of meat it is, it has a fit layer of fat between the skin and the meat. I say cook it skin down and don't turn it. That's my personal
And
preference.
eat the skin. The skin's the best part.
And the skin is
If
the
you're
best
squeamish
part.
about skin, this is the time to try it because it's delicious.
It is delicious.
It's
When you
almost
cook
like
it,
if you just take the
it
skin
crisps.
off and fry it, it's like a potato chip almost, like
Yeah.
a fish potato chip.
you don't.
So
It's
good.
not. You don't get the scales. You don't have the
Yeah.
gritty nastiness in your teeth or anything.
Unlike the
But it
halibut,
crisps.
the
Almost like
halibut's
I
a
call it
sheet
salmon
of
bacon.
armor. It's like that's almost like eating scale mail. Like from back in medieval times. But halibut, it's very nice.
All right. So
Oh, this